Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another scene of Living World of Darkness. This is a crossover scene. Oh dear, we're at it again. Between Hunter and Mage venues. And we start the scene with Ava, who spent a lot of time behind the portal in the snowy mountains with the Shangri-La kindness temple. And but even though she often loses track of time, this day, um, somewhere around early afternoon, she she actually had her alarm set because being so engrossed with this temple and especially the library with the strange ancient Tibetan scripts and everything, she does realize that she has woefully neglected poor Paris, who she's not bringing to these strange surroundings. And sure, like she gets him for walks regularly, but she's never like been on, or it's been a while since she actually took him for long walks, if at all, because she doesn't have him that long yet. So she makes a point of, like I said, setting an alarm and going back into the chantry and grabbing Paris's leash, who is probably yipping and yapping happily around her legs. Um, as she, as she leashes him and will get out of the chantry and head towards this park that she'd noticed before, but she'd never really been there. She always likes to visit parks, and especially with Paris, he needs the exercise considering the meals that he's being given in the chantry. She doesn't want him to become fat. Not because she wouldn't mind a fat dog, but more because, yeah, it's not very healthy for him and it would give him all kinds of trouble. So, yeah, she goes over to this park and just walks around a lot, lets Paris kind of sniff everything and everyone. And finally, when they come to this kind of small plaza, like Ava is kind of nervous because there's not a lot of people here, but there are people here. Um, she is going to go to one of these coffee stands and get like a latte macchiato and sits down on a bench and just kind of gives Paris a long leash so he can sniff around and enjoys her coffee.
On a nearby bench, also drawn by the this little coffee stand, is Rebecca. She's had an interesting day. She's thought to meet with a colleague, and instead of going home, took her laptop to the park to write and read and take notes on what she was discussing with her colleague. So she is perched on a bench, laptop open, scrolling through news articles with one hand and sipping on her tea with the other hand. And as she's scrolling, she glances up, glances at Ava and the dog, goes back to scrolling, and then realizes that, oh, hey, shit, I recognize that person. She looks up again and, oh, shit, hey, her. So, if Helena would notice, there's someone staring at her fairly wide eyed from another bench.
Oh boy. Um, yeah, Ava for her part had probably grabbed something to read as well. As Paris is making noises at the like the pigeons and it kind of yaps at them, and she looks up, kind of like pulling him back in a little because he starts to pull on the leash. He is definitely not a well trained dog yet. And And yeah, as she looks up to basically take Paris a bit closer, she well, I mean, I would say accidentally, but she does keep an eye on her surroundings and looks into the face of Rebecca. And there is definitely recognition on Ava or well, Helena's face. And a bit stunned for the moment because this is the first time she ran into someone that she knows and who doesn't know. And they definitely see, because I think Ava could see like the um, shock of recognition on Rebecca's face as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to set us up in a dice roller.
Smart.
What is this called?
I just call this run in. It's really like it's. Remember when we were supposed to do the scene, and I set up the hangout and we didn't end up doing it. It's the same bloody hangout.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Uh, okay. I'm glad that's happening. Sorry. I'm gonna
Mm,
peony her expression. Becca is wide-eyed and startled and looking quite
yeah,
intently.
I think Kava is basically doing the same. Where did you set us up actually? One or two?
Dice roller 2.
Ah, yeah, I got it.
3 successes.
I got
Nope.
none, of course.
Sorry.
So, Ava is not hiding the shock. Um, and the with the three successes, you
Mhm.
can definitely see that she is trying to suppress some panic as she finally tears her gaze away from Rebecca and looks around to any of the other folks to see if anyone like recognizes that moment and might look at her. And
Mhm.
she is looking around obviously also for like an escape.
Rebecca's going to clear the shock off her face with 3 successes to make it look fairly normal. Like, I'm shocked to see you, but oh, hey, now it's friendly. We're friends and friend things. Um, and she glances around when Ava does, and then she closes her laptop and starts to kind of fuss with her stuff like she's about to get up.
Yeah, Ava is definitely getting up and definitely wants to be the first to get up, which, like, yeah, it's obvious. She's just at this point very poorly hiding anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so she'll actually gather Paris and lift him up and starts walking away from like this plaza that basically holds the most people in the park. And like either she's trying to walk away from you or she's trying to walk away from public, but she's walking away.
Oh, okay. Uh, Rebecca stops and watches her go, and then she opens up her laptop again and she sits back and goes back to the news. But she's going to keep a well, try and keep an eye on her surroundings more than she was before.
Yeah. Ava is as she's walking away, she's looking over her shoulder and as she notices Rebecca like grabbing her laptop again. Um yeah, she's not quite sure what to think and she stops, uh, glances around. Because now she's actually kind of worried. Like first she was like, I need to get the fuck out. And now she's like, But is she calling the police though? Like would she be sending a message to the police right now? Is she doing that or is she not? And
Well, if she's doing it, she's doing it with one hand because the other hand is holding her tea, and she's
I
sipping.
mean, there are many people who type with one hand. That's not necessarily
Mhm.
so. She
You can pee and e if she wants.
I actually think that she's going to deck stealth and try to get behind Rebecca,
Okay.
kind of like just trying to pretend that like it's perfectly normal for her to walk behind a bench, but to be able to like flick a gaze on that laptop screen.
Mhm.
So I don't know, would that be dex stealth or dex subterfuge? Like, I mean, no, she's trying to hide from at least you.
Sure, deck stealth
So
seems
dex
good.
stealth, yeah. She's great because I have such an amazing dice pool for this. Wow. Huh. Thank you, dice.
Should I roll? I guess I should roll.
I mean, you can definitely. I only have 2 successes, but 2 out of 3 is not bad.
No, it's pretty good.
Yeah, right. Oh
She
yeah,
has.
you notice that I was trying to like get back to you without you necessarily seeing her.
Okay. Um, Rebecca is 100% not at all sure what's going on now, but she's going to now roll to pretend she hasn't noticed. She has 5 successes. Um, she just is
Well, I
rolling.
can't. I can't counter that because I only have 5 dice to peony,
Uh-huh.
and defender wins. So that would be you, I think. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know
So
anymore.
Rebecca doesn't appear to have noticed that you are sneaking back.
Okay.
She
Yeah,
keeps
I mean, Ava tries to stay. Basically, the sneaking is her trying to stay out of your peripheral vision and like acting as casual as she can with like the rest of the people because she doesn't want to focus any kind of attention on herself.
hmm
And yeah, she'll walk past like the back of the bench, pretending to look for like Paris's ball that or a bone or whatever.
hmm
And in the meanwhile, is just glancing kind of to the laptop screen to see if there's anything that might indicate that Rebecca is trying to contact people.
Well, the website that's open is Al Jazeera, and it's in Arabic, so Elena probably can't read it, but it
Let me
very much
see.
looks like a
Can
news
I?
source. Oh,
No, I can't read it. God damn, I don't have Arabic. It's bad. That's actually frustrating. But at least that means, I mean, because yeah, no, chances are pretty slim that the police would be contacted with
yeah, yeah.
Arabic. And
And it very much looks like a news site. It doesn't look like, a police website of any kind. And it doesn't look like she's filling out any forms. She's
yeah.
scrolling through the news. So,
So yeah, Ava will make a wide turn around the bench and kind of approaches this time more from the side, and if there's like a spot next to, well, not immediate, like she wants to leave some space between the two of them, but if there's
mhm.
like a spot on the bench, if there's just the two of them, she would or if it's just Rebecca sitting there, she would walk up to the bench and be like, is this seat taken?
The back of Rebecca's neck has by now started prickling pretty hard because she knows that there's a weird person behind her, and she knows the weird person is sneaking around, and she's pretty sure the weird person is a terrified girl. But man, it's hard to know these days. Um, so she's got 5 successes. It look like it's fine. Everything's fine, and calm and collected and everything's fine, but her heartbeat is starting to accelerate.
I mean, she's not coming from behind you at this point.
Sure,
Like I said,
no,
she
absolutely.
turned around. Like,
But she's not sure what's going on. She has
fair enough. That's definitely,
super
yeah.
not sure what's going on. And she starts to raise her head when Helena starts to leave, but then thinks better of it and just sips her coffee instead. And then Helena comes back, and when she talks, Rebecca looks up and gives her a "Hey, good to see you," but did you just run away from me kind of smile. You know what I mean? Like hey, that kind of an expression. And says, "No, of course not. No, please sit down. I wasn't sure you recognized me. It's been a while. How are you?"
Um, I did recognize you. Um, Rebecca, you were with Gabe and
Yes,
Charlie.
yes. They're both friends of mine.
Yeah. I don't know them that well. There's the biggest elephant in that room ever, besides the fact that they're in a park.
Mhm.
But yeah, she goes sit down and pulls Paris up on her lap, and Paris is absolutely unaware of any kind of elephants running around, and he's just kind of, yeah, getting attention from Ava, and then from this new person, and he starts sniffing Rebecca and or reaching out, like from Ava's grasp, like reaching forward to, you know, get the scent of this strange lady.
Probably smells like cats.
Cats. But that's an interesting smell because that's a smell he doesn't know.
Oh, interesting. Well, yeah, there's lots of cats on Rebecca. She,
Although maybe actually he did come from a pound, like he was kind of a rescue dog. So
mm,
yeah, he
mm,
probably would recognize it. But he has a very sweet nature. So yeah, starts like licking or licking his nose and
mhm,
reaching forward further, and I was kind of like holding him like in her lap. Because
mhm,
first of all, she's not quite sure if Rebecca is like, you know, into dogs or if she's
mhm.
scared of them, which is legit thing for some
Sure.
people. And second of all, she still not quite sure if this is actually a good idea.
Rebecca's gonna kind of look up for permission and start to reach a hand out, but she's checking with Ava's expression to make sure that Ava doesn't mind if she reaches out a hand to introduce herself.
Yeah, she'll slowly like release a little bit of a grip on Paris, who will sniff the hands and then start licking it, and actually does the little puppy thing where you're kind of like
Mhm.
biting but not really hard or anything, but yeah.
Just lets him sniff, lets him bite a little bit, maybe just once, and then kind of pulls her hand away and tries to pet him without being bit. Um, she's not really a dog person. she's,
Oh, that's
Dogs
fair.
are fine, but she's not really a dog person, and she doesn't really want to encourage it biting, whatever. She's friendly to the dog, but it's pretty obvious she's not necessarily a dog person. And
Yeah.
who's this? He's adorable.
Um, his name is Paris.
Hmm. After the Greek hero or the city?
Um, Hero.
Good for you. Why
I, I
Paris? That's an unusual choice.
I didn't name him. It was a friend of mine who is very much into Greek mythology, and she named him Paris because my name is Helena. And she kind of gives Rebecca that look like, now my name is Helena. Damn it.
Rebecca squints at her for a minute, and then like her expression changes pretty quickly and drastically into kind of crumples a little bit into just a really profound worry and sympathy. And she shifts kind of awkwardly on the bench, and like her hands move like she's might start, like her first impulse is to start cleaning her stuff up, but she doesn't. Um, and meanwhile, she's just nodding.
I don't want to
Of
bother you.
course, I should have guessed, she says, which obviously is not the words that she's thinking.
And yeah, with Alma kind of noticing her hand twitching, like wanting to yeah, pick up
It
her
doesn't seem
stuff.
like she. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like if she wants to, like if that twitch is there to like pack her stuff, then I was like, if you don't want to be seen with me, I can easily leave again. That's fine. I understand. I didn't mean to bother you.
No, Helena, it's not a bother. I am more than pleased to be seen with you. That's certainly not a problem. As long as
Really?
you're safe. Sometimes, well, if you're comfortable here, that's not a problem for me.
Oh, I I didn't expect that.
She still has this look on her face that just won't go away. Where it's concern, like it's deep concern, and it seems not just sympathetic but empathetic. Like she is recognizing like a like she's been there almost. If that makes sense.
Mm.
Which that's that says some things, but um, but not quite. Anyway, there's some strong feelings in her face, but she's um pulling them back to normalcy. Well, I'm glad to run into you, and don't be worried. I guess things
Okay.
have been a little difficult for you then, since we last ran into each other.
Ava's entire expression basically shouts, like, really? Like she is almost relieved, almost to the point where she is fighting to keep her emotions like under control, with someone who seems to be so genuinely happy to see her. That's not something she expected to ever encounter in New York again.
Oh,
At least
oh,
not from someone who recognizes her, like from before she became a blonde.
Rebecca's gonna just close her computer and um start putting it away. On second thought, we should probably go for a walk. If
um,
you're okay with that. Seems like maybe we have some stuff to talk about that this doesn't seem like a good place to cry.
right. Um, yeah. We can take a walk, but I um I have my phone with me, and well, yeah, that was just something that I wanted to say, that I do have my phone with me. It almost sounds sort of like a threat in a weird way.
Sure. Rebecca gets it. It actually like You see the understanding register, and she makes sure that you see it, and she nods, just gently, um, kind of like you might to a frightened animal. Like that's kind of her expression. Like it, it's okay. So she packs up her computer and pulls the bag over her shoulder and scoops up her coffee and stands up slowly, not in any particular hurry, and waits to see if Helena's going to stand up too.
Yep. Helena will put Paris on the ground and just lets him run around, like still leashed, of course, and we'll follow.
She takes a look around. She doesn't really know where she's going. She obviously doesn't know the park that well. Like she, you know, doesn't look around like somebody who's just used to being here and kind of scoping out the best way to go. She looks around like someone who's like, well, I don't fucking know. My plan stopped at get up and go somewhere. Um, so she just kind of looks around and eventually, unless Helena, starts starts off in a direction, she'll just pick away and go there.
Hmm.
Kind of away from the crush of people.
Yeah, I will follow, or Helena will follow, whatever you prefer, and she'll like when she realizes that Rebecca's not very familiar with this park, just gonna say for convenience sake, she's been there a few times, and she kind of says like, I know a bench where it's a little away from the paths that are
Perfect.
used often.
That sounds perfect.
Okay. And yeah, she will lead her past like this small pond where there's like people feeding ducks, and a little further away from the plaza, and until basically they reach the other side of the pond, and then there's like a smaller path leading through a little bit of more undergrowth, like a little bit more trees, and yeah, it seems more quiet. Even the sounds of the city kind of drop away just a little, like you can't really block it out, but it's definitely a more quiet place. And there's this little bench that, yeah, it's just behind these bushes. It's kind of out of sight. It's still next to like this not well trodden path, and Ava will kind of shrug. Maybe here.
Perfect. She sets her bag down next to the bench and then settles herself, kind of fixes her coat, makes herself comfortable. And she's just watching Helena. Helena?
Whatever.
Okay, fair enough.
And yeah, she'll sit down as well, and yeah, lets the leash like run a bit longer again, so that Paris can go and explore some of the underbush around the growth or whatever. And she's looking at her knees. She doesn't really look at Rebecca at this point. Seems to be kind of anxious about this entire thing.
Mm-hmm. Rebecca actually, she takes a minute, she looks around, and then she's going to lean over and check under the bench and check the back of the bench. Um, and
That
then
will
sit
get
back again.
that'll definitely make Ava look up and look a little confused.
Oh, I don't even know. These days, half the time, I feel like there's someone listening.
Oh,
I
right.
don't think you're probably taking me to be bugged, but just if a quick check will make things easier, you might as well. I figure.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good precaution.
Honey, are you okay? Are you safe?
I've changed my look. I'm sort of safe, I guess. I take it you saw the news.
I did. I didn't quite know what to do. It didn't quite seem appropriate to call, all things considered. We don't know
I
each other that well, and
I have another number.
well, see, then it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
It's
The
not
news
true.
article made it sound. She stops. She's listening.
I mean, it is true in a way, but it's not. It's not the way they made it out, made it seem to be. It's not like it didn't happen like that.
This shooter, you're
Friend.
not. Is he abusive?
No, no, no. It's
She stops and like looks her in the eye real hard and is going to peony that because that's her
hmm?
first concern. Ah, the one though. So she only has 2 successes. Well, that's 3
I mean,
successes.
that was honest.
Okay.
There's no lie.
Wait a minute, that's not my dice at all. Hang on, that's not even sort of my dice. Wrong character. Lol. Okay. Well, that's 3 successes. It doesn't matter. I'll take the 2. We'll go 2. So,
It's still the same, you know. It's she's honest. She is. She's not lying. She is. Still nervous as all fuck, but yeah, she is really defending this shooter. In all honesty,
Rebecca takes a deep breath and sits back and looks relieved.
it's it was the person who was shot. He was after us. We defended ourselves. That's all we did.
Is he wearing a suit?
Yeah.
Is that a problem for you? People in suits?
Yeah.
She nods, kind of slowly and carefully, like she's got a sore tooth and doesn't want to jar it.
How did you know?
I used to have some friends who had problems with people in suits. It was very dangerous for them. And you just didn't strike me as the kind of person who. The, the nickname they gave you didn't seem at all to fit you. No offense. She literally can't say the word ginger. Like she starts to and it just like catches on her teeth. For
Oh.
reasons!
Oh. Yeah, there is like sort of like there's tears of relief welling up in Ava's eyes. That she is, like I said, she's trying to hold them back, and then I mean she's not going to cry or anything, but she's definitely close to like that. Okay. Um, yeah, no, I we didn't. I didn't shoot. I stood next to the one, the suit when my friend was defending me.
Glad you're all right.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, that's fair. All right is relative.
I I stayed indoors a lot. Just only went out for little things. But yeah, um, seems to be sort of okayish. Like I think it's blown over somewhat now.
Can I ask what he did? This man in the suit.
He tried to take us to a place. Not a good place.
To take you. That's, oh, and yeah. Yeah, I imagine it's not a good place. I don't know much about any of that, really, to be honest. Maybe in a metaphorical sense. But
These friends of yours, were they um um
they were very interesting people. Very interesting. Not untroubled. They certainly had troubles. One of them talked to my cats.
talk to your cats?
I have a lot of cats.
I see. Um, so would you say that they were crazy or gifted? She's almost whispering that word.
Oh, we're all a little crazy, but they certainly seem to be quite gifted. She kind of squints like she's not quite sure how she feels about the term. Like she's not like it is awkward. Um yeah.
Ava nods slowly as she's like, I think. like I mean, she's not 100% sure still, but this is pretty much the right description. So she nods and says, "Yeah, um, I've heard
She,
there used to be people like us here, but that they're all gone. Are they still around?"
I think they saved the world. But I never heard from them again.
Yeah, I was pretty sure now. She actually seems to relax a bit more now.
Rebecca,
Um, hmm?
Rebecca lifts up a hand and just rubs it over her face and goes, I know that they were never supposed to talk about it much. Which doesn't mean they didn't, but
I didn't realize there were others who knew.
I don't think I'm supposed to. But some things happened and I was there and
Are you? Mm,
no, I have never well, I talk to cats every day, but they understand me. It's not anything to do with me. And I've never mm, sucked the soul out of someone through their eyeballs or teleported vast different distances.
I
Or
mean, that's not something I did either.
she just gives kind of a helpless laugh and just kind of gestures with her coffee cup. Glad to hear at least part of that. The soul sucking was a problem.
Yeah, I can imagine. Doesn't sound very. Sounds like a problem. Yeah, I did actually. Never mind. But yeah, they them and me probably the same. Most likely the same.
These days I don't even know. The world just keeps getting weirder.
So I can trust you. You wouldn't go to the police or anything.
You can trust me. If I thought you were really shooting up people, I might go to the police. But if
That's fair.
that's not a thing,
No, I mean, uh, not just like that. Maybe in defense.
I understand there are some things that my friends had to defend against that were very difficult for me to understand. There are motives in people and in the universe that I cannot entirely comprehend. Apocalypses and monsters.
We just don't want to go back to that place. They took us
She
before.
closes her eyes and winces.
They tortured us. They did things. We just don't want to go back.
I understand. I understand very much. I will help you if I can. I can't. Well, I understand. I'll help you if I can. I realize that's probably not much of an offer. There's probably not much I can do, but
It's good to know we can go to someone in case. So far, we've been able to keep them away from where we live. I didn't know you knew of my kind. It's kind of weird, actually. We've
I,
been trying to find others, but it's difficult.
I can only imagine if you're all in hiding.
Yeah, we have to. All of us, well, most of us, except for two, all of us are really new to this. I I don't know exactly when I started to realize this thing,
Hmm.
but I was I was brought to their place in like August last year, and we got out in October or September. I don't know anymore. God, end of September, I think. I don't know. Whatever.
Before that, you.
I didn't know.
Hmm. I don't know very much about that whole process. I imagine it's quite an adjustment, particularly if you've. Oh, honey.
It's when we escaped from that place, it was not such a strange adjustment anymore. We
She
got
closes her
used to
eyes.
weird.
I understand.
That place was a nightmare. It just didn't stop for all of us who were there. So when we got out, well, besides the fact that none of us wanted to ever go back to that place again, it's also easier to accept that your life is different.
Hmm. How interesting. I can understand that. I
I'm
hope it
sorry.
brings you some sort of peace, or at least a distraction.
I can do many things indoors. I just would be nice to be able to walk around here without having to look over my shoulder.
Yes, I know how that feels. I know very much how that feels.
And peony that. There's a peony for everything, and I'm gonna peony that. Two successes.
She knows very much how that feels. she's she's being honest, and there is it's one of those old pains that's so deep it's hard to pinpoint. It doesn't seem like it's new or raw or fresh. It just is old, and and she means it. She seems more tired all of a sudden.
Oh. Almost seems like she wants to ask the obvious question, but she looks at Rebecca and then just shuts up and just nods. No, fuck it. I should roll curiosity for it because that's the
Oh
flaw.
no, you have curiosity. Of course you do.
Of course I do. You know it. You know me.
I do.
She's good. Yep. There's the nodding and the understanding and yeah.
Life is full of all sorts of strange things. So you have had your life turned quite upside down in several different ways, but
Yeah,
you are safe now to some extent,
to some extent, yes.
and finding a new rhythm, I hope.
Just hoping at one point we can nullify that news report saying that, so she kind of grimaces that it's false, if that there were different developments that prove that I didn't do anything. Until then, this is a problem. Going out is more difficult, but and she kind of pulls on her short, kind of like grayish blonde hair, almost silver blonde hair. This helps somewhat, and I just have to be as careful as I can. Name helps with that.
And hopefully you've thrown the suits off your tail.
If only for a while.
Mm.
I have no doubt that we'll run into them again and again. There's nothing I can do that will change that. It doesn't matter where I go, where any one of us goes, I think. I think they're everywhere, and I can't change what I am.
No. Hmm. Well, if you ever need someone to talk to, she's gonna reach in her purse and dig out a business card, hand it over.
She'll take it. Thank you. Um, and she'll actually, reaches into like her pocket and pulls out this tiny notebook. This is just this tiny notebook this time. And yeah, she'll rip out like one of the papers and writes down her own number under the name of Helena. By the way, she doesn't write Ava; she
Mhm,
writes
mhm.
Helena.
I'm a bit at a loss to know what other help I can offer you, but if you think of something, she just kind of gestures with a hand.
I'll give a call. I'm already happy that, like I said, you believe me and you won't call the police.
No, I won't. I've seen a great many things that police wouldn't be able to handle very well.
Also, there are other things in the police that I don't necessarily trust.
Like werewolves.
Her eyes widen substantially. What?
Rebecca doesn't keep laughing. Rebecca says with a straight face. Well, a little bit of mostly straight face. Kind of a little kind of rueful grin. Not a grin, just a little bit of a quirk to her lips, I think.
The kind of stumbles over her, like her mouth opens up quite a few times before she actually kind of blurts out, "You know about them too?"
I should I shouldn't have said that.
No,
Really.
I mean, you're right.
They're not it's really not a good thing if they know that I know.
I'll
And
keep my mouth shut.
they're terrifying.
They are. I I think I ran into them a few times. They're quite. And she thinks about it for a moment and then says, "You're quite impressive."
Becca's expression does not say impressive. It says terrifying. It's still gentle and maybe even a little bit fond, but it's her expression says no, they're terrifying.
Yeah, yeah, Delana will nod because she kind of agrees with that.
I don't think your people feel it as much as the rest of us. And you get near them and start to sweat and you don't really know why. All the goosebumps on your arms are standing up. I've seen your people stand right next to them like it wasn't a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I only know that there's one, at least one in the police because I saw in a different way what he was.
Was he looking for you?
No, no, it was before the news thing came out. When my hair was still long.
She nods.
He gave me a ticket for jaywalking.
Did Jacob give anyone
Yeah,
a
he
ticket?
did.
Becca just bursts out laughing because she knows Jacob. She's very, very fond of him, and the idea of someone getting a ticket for jaywalking from a werewolf is just that's
It's
fucking
just
amazing.
hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, Baba will kind of smile with with it, but it's like, yeah, it's not a very happy smile because that was fucking expensive. That was a $200 fine.
Oh, that's awful. That's awful. What an
Right?
asshole, says Rebecca.
I mean, yeah.
You shouldn't jaywalk, though.
I I dropped my purse and
Oh,
I
God.
mean, I was jaywalking, but the biggest issue was that I was kneeling down to put everything back in my purse in the middle of the street, and
Oh, no.
I mean, it wasn't a very busy street or anything, not
Mm.
for New York standards. But of course,
But not going very fast by New York standards is just under the speed of light. You never know.
that's probably true, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you didn't get hurt. And what an interesting story you can tell weird people, I guess. I
I
don't
seem to.
know anyone else who can admit that they've been given a ticket by a werewolf.
I don't know either.
Rebecca looks just tickled.
Actually, remember when we were on, like, when you guys had just seen a movie and you ran into me and some other people?
Yeah.
Remember that girl Iris?
Yeah.
She's one of them too.
Becca is going to roll some dice now.
Is it subterfuge?
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Then I'll empathy. Oh God.
Rebecca is. I'm going to say this before you
Mhm.
roll because Rebecca doesn't know whether you can see or not. She's just going to say, "Well, that explains quite a lot. Mostly being how terrifying she was."
I have 3 successes.
Yeah, with 3 successes, you see that she is trying very hard to be polite and not not say, "Well, of course she's a fucking werewolf." Um, yeah, and the weird weird things in her bag are also explained by that, I suppose.
The weird
But
things in her bag?
please don't tell her that I know. Please.
I won't. She doesn't even know that I know.
She nods. And they're angry there. Very, very frightening. More so than usual, even. And
Thanks.
dangerous. Very dangerous.
I could tell
But they're
they were
not.
dangerous, but I'd never seen one angry.
But you said those aren't the ones that you are worried about.
I
So
mean,
that's good.
I would be worried about them, but they don't know what I am, I think.
She nods.
And the suits are way more terrifying.
Well, gosh. It's hard.
Yeah. It's, it's difficult. But there's not much I can do about it right now.
I wish I knew how to protect you.
I mean, not calling the police would be great.
Well, that I will not do. So you are. That much is taken care of.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Strange, you're the first normal person that I spoke with that knows.
She shrugs. We're all a little crazy.
I guess. Just, yeah, make sure that you don't cross paths with those suits. And
Well,
yeah,
I don't think they want anything from me. If nothing else, there's that I can offer you.
you have information. You know things. It might be enough.
She is going to. She's gonna. She has 3 successes. To keep her expression neutral.
Oh boy. Let me see.
Yeah. You're right. And that is dangerous. I certainly understand that. I'm fairly good at keeping my information close to my chest. And I'm extremely talented at playing dumb. But you're correct.
They have ways. So yeah, just be careful.
She nods. There are always people with ways in this world.
Yeah.
And those people are no friends of mine.
Well, I guess I'll be going. I won't.
Sure, you shouldn't stay out too long anyway.
No.
I'm glad I ran into you. I'm glad you're doing well. I've been a little worried, but it didn't quite seem appropriate to check up. But I'm glad you're doing well.
I'm doing well. It was nice to be able to talk to someone outside of my house.
Well, you're always welcome over for dinner.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Of course. Sometimes I
She'll.
think my house might be watched. But that's paranoia. I've checked several times and never found any evidence. I think it rubs off after a while. Watching you all dart around and
If you ever feel that way, you think, then let me know. Um, I have someone who's very good with computers.
that's good to know. I do too, but it's Gabe.
Mm. Well,
He's very good with computers.
my
He's
my
just
friends can find everything on a computer. It's almost like magic. She gives that look, like it's totally magic, but hey.
Rebecca looks startled, like that hadn't occurred to her. Like it just hadn't even occurred to her that would be a thing. She looks startled for a second. She looks a little bit terrified, like, oh dear God, I'm way too old for that shit. I still get worried when people tell me to delete my cookies. Yeah, for just a second, there's oh God, no, this is an entirely new world that I wasn't prepared for. But then she nods.
Yeah, Ava will stand up and pulls the leash a little so that Paris comes back, and yeah, she'll kind of like extend her hand. It's kind of that awkward moment, like, okay, how am I saying goodbye in this awkward situation? But yeah, she ends up with extending her hand.
She takes the hand in both her hands and just squeezes really gently. So it's not quite a handshake. It's almost a caress, kind of somewhere between a handshake and a caress. It's a little more personal than a handshake. And seems to be a gesture of well wishing. And then she leans down and picks up her bag and starts to get her stuff together.
Yeah, and Ava will she'll smile and then turns around and walks off with Paris. Kind of like, holds her head low, and from time to time, like if Rebecca would like watch her leave, and she can see that from time to time she is looking around, but otherwise mostly looks at the ground.
Rebecca just watches her go, worrying and sipping at her coffee, and when she disappears, Rebecca turns and kind of looks around like, oh, good, the fuck am I? And then she goes to try and find her way out of the park and at the bus.
And yeah, we can end the scene with the two of them leaving after awkward but nice conversation. So thank you, Play, for playing, and thank you, watchers, for watching. This was another scene for Living World of Darkness. Well, Hunter and Mage venue. See you.